after executive order. He's getting down to business. And of course, the Democrats are all upset about it. They're piping mad. Now, when we voted for President Trump, the American people sent President Trump a mandate. And they wanted this mandate to be done. We wanted it to be implemented. We wanted President Trump to do what needed to be done for the American people. And of course, he's getting the opposition, which is the Democrat Party, to push back on him. They're going to every single court that they can to try to fight President Trump. And we just had Chuck Schumer say that the Democrats put in judges to fight President Trump every step of the way. That's their objective. Well, I want to talk a lot about this, as well as NPR and PBS. And there's a reason why I talk about NPR and PBS just a little bit here. And also I want to talk more about the FBI now with Kash Patel and, of course, Pam Bondi. And on top of that, with the Houthis, this text messaging when it comes to the app through Signal. To have the discussion with me, this young man today is Bill Robinson. He is a columnist for Newsmax. He has appeared on Fox News, CNN, PBS, Bloomberg, BBC, and had his own segment on Sky News. Sir, thank you, Joe, so much for joining me.
Oh, Will, it's great to see you, and you're a great American, sir.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Now, you sent me a message saying, we connected at CPAC. And, I've met so many people at CPAC. And,
sure.
And I see the face. It's like, okay, I remember the face, but sometimes it's hard to remember the names because, I meet so many people. So, well, anyways, PBS. Now, before we came on, you were telling my producer that you work with PBS. This was years ago. You just, did some stuff with them. When you hear about PBS and NPR, are they biased or not?
Oh, they're the worst ever. So I did a series of documentaries on small business with PBS years ago, and when they were still relevant. Now, of course, I certainly hope that President Trump defunds PBS and NPR. Incidentally, we all know what NPR stands for. Not pooping regularly. And there's just they need to be defunded. There's no reason why the taxpayers should keep these throat organs for the Marxist, communist, Democrat left in this country funded. They need to be able to compete with other unfunded channels. And it was also announced recently that President Trump is working on defunding Planned Parenthood from the $500 million they get every year. Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I call them Klan Parenthood. I mean,
yes.
It's
tragic, isn't it? It's tragic.
It really is.
Think of all those black babies and what they could have been. Think about destroying those lives.
Yes.
We don't know that there weren't Nobel Prize winners, babies could grow up to cure cancer. We have no idea. So it's the lost potential by these horrendous eugenicists like Margaret Sanger and, all the way through to Obama and Biden and Pelosi. They're all on the same page. Let's kill some babies.
Yeah.
These are awful people. These are awful people.
Yeah. And you know what? They call it good health care. They said it's defending the women's rights. It's pretty ridiculous. So, but let me ask you this. PBS and NPR have been around for a very, very long time, and they've been getting funded by the federal government. And now they're pushing, they've been pushing all of this woke agenda, all of this leftist propaganda, and we've been paying for it.
That's right.
That's the most disgusting thing about all of this. We've been paying for it. And then, of course, they show up on Capitol Hill trying to defend what they've been doing. And they're blatantly lying to the American people while they're sitting there. But, of course, nothing's going to happen to them for lying to the American people. Even when it comes to Sesame Street, there's this, I forget which congressman it was, but he was showing the images of Big Bird and the Grouch and Oscar. And he was saying, does this look threatening to you? Well, we've been pouring money into these organizations that have not actually been helping the American people. Why are we paying for it? If they're getting millions upon millions of views, as they say, why are we paying for it?
Well, we absolutely shouldn't be. And, for decades now, we've been hearing about all the waste and the shrimp tests with shrimp on little runways under the water. I mean, it's the
Yeah.
most insane stuff. Sesame Street in Iraq, all this kind of insanity, and that's the great thing about Doge and Elon Musk. But I think the time for PBS and NPR to continue to exist has uh, long since ended, as has really the relevance of the Democrat Party. I mean, they're just rudderless. So I think taking away the money, this is part of the money stealing scam that the Democrats just love. So they fund NPR and PBS, and then NPR and PBS hate on Trump or anybody that threatens them politically or in elections. And it's just a gigantic way of bringing the media in to be the Democrat communist lapdogs. They do the same thing in academia, by the way. We're looking at all these crazy students that are coming here on student visas and trying to destroy our country and start a 2020 style St. George Floyd kind of protest where they're burning things, they're burning Teslas. It's got to stop. So we need to defund the universities too. They have, 50 and 40 and $70 billion endowments. So we pull the $400 million a year from the American taxpayer away, and I think we'll be in much better shape and let them fend for themselves without any taxpayer money.
Yeah. When talking about taxpayer, President Trump is actually talking, he's been alluding to getting rid of the IRS. And now
Yes.
he's doing these the tariffs. He just signed this yesterday, 25% on automobiles coming into the country. Let me ask you a question. What is so bad about that? Because we've heard so many discussions about tariffs are bad, but the way President Trump just laid it out, that if you want to have these vehicles in the United States of America, build them here in America. You don't have to worry about the tariffs. And the last thing I heard, BMW is going to set up shop in the United States of America. So it's cheaper for them to come to the United States of America, build an entire factory, hire people, build the vehicles here than it is to pay the tariffs. And it's a win-win for us because now we have Americans that have jobs. And on top of that, President Trump is going to make it to where if you buy an American made vehicle, because at that point it would be American made, right? Because we're making it here in America, you would
Yes.
get major discounts. What's a
Yes.
win-win?
Yes, and I mean, President Trump's firing on all cylinders. I mean, he's just an amazing character in American history. He and George Washington are like the two real fighters, the generals. But he knows so much about economics and business. So the people who are fighting him about tariffs, they have no understanding. For instance, this little anecdote is important when you talk about tariffs. In 1900, at the turn of the century, and during the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, America was the richest country in the world by far. Americans had a lifestyle that was just amazing. That was before the evil Woodrow Wilson came along and instituted the income tax. So we need to get back to a tariff-based revenue economy, get rid of the IRS, get rid of the income tax. Trump's absolutely, on the money with these and he talks about it every time they talk to him in his office or anything. He puts on kind of a clinic on economics. The other day, I think it was yesterday, he was talking about the importance of deductions and how he wants to give full tax deductions for interest payments when you buy a new car, but it has to be made in America. That's a very complicated kind of counter ratcheting tie. Buy an American car, be able to deduct the interest, get a lower price than you can for a tariff paid import car. And, he said the importance of deductions, very wealthy people understand the importance of deductions, but nobody else does. The left has no idea about this economics. They really don't. I've been interviewing President Trump since about a year ago by phone. And I can tell you, this is the most authentic guy we've ever seen. Politicians are not known for being authentic, but this guy is 100% authentic. And
Yes,
that's how he's been so successful. It's his authentic and his love for this country.
100%. And, that's part of the reason why they want President Trump removed. And now they're going after Pete Hegseth and they're trying to dismantle his cabinet. Let me add,
Yeah.
let me go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say they're going after him constantly. It's like the Keystone Cops. They just can't get anything on him to stick. And I guess the best analogy is that, he's the road runner and they're Wile E. Coyote. They're constantly getting hit on the head by their own anvils. And it's like it's so funny, but he's just bulletproof, literally after Butler and everything. But
Yes.
before that, he was bulletproof too.
Why do you think, and I refer to them as the Democrat Party for obvious reasons. Why do
Yeah.
you think that they won't just say, okay, you know what? This tactic of us just get Trump is not working. The American people recognize what we've been doing. They're not buying it. They're not supporting us in just attacking Trump when Trump is actually putting money into the American people's pockets. And he's finding this fraud, of course, with the help of Elon Musk. He's finding the wasteful spending, which at one point, every single person, the people complaining about it right now, they were all for it too, until it became money that was being funneled to them. What do you think it will take for the Democrat Party to actually come to the table and say, okay, enough is enough. We need to start doing the will of the American people and stop doing all of this activist work?
Well, I don't think they'll ever really do that in good faith. I mean, you notice after they get their heads handed to them in an election, or they lose a particularly bitter fight to the side of truth, justice, and the American way, which is what Republicans, conservatives, Christian Judeo conservatives really are. We fight for Israel. We believe in smaller government. We believe in lower taxes, watching our spendings. We believe that there's only males and females. I mean, it's so obvious. So every time they get their heads handed to them, they come and start talking about, oh, we'll really want to do something bipartisan and unity and everything. No, there's no more unity or bipartisan. That window is closed forever. And there's also the sympathy window is closed forever
Mm,
as well. I remember being particularly incensed by Joe Biden whenever he found himself in a difficult position or was giving an important speech and had nothing really to say of substance. He'd bring up the fact that his wife died in a terrible car accident, and his children, and
yeah.
and start eliciting sympathy. And that just wore me out, man. I'm like, sorry, we have all got problems. That's a tragedy. Yeah, but no more sympathy. The sympathy window is closed.
Yeah, I think so as well. Who's leading the Democrat Party right now?
Well, I
Is
guess
it is it is it Jasmine Crockett?
I yeah, I guess it used to be Cori Bush. I mean, these gals come out of they pretend like they're from the hood, and they're like, they're all tough and cursing and everything. And I don't know how we got rid of Cori Bush, but I'm glad we did. We've also got, in addition to Miss Jasmine Crockett, we've also got Miss Plaskett, Miss Stacey Plaskett from the U.S. Virgin Islands. Now she can't vote in Congress, so that's great, but she can vote in committee, so she can hurt the process.
So why
And
can't
I
she
think
vote in Congress?
because the U.S. Virgin Island isn't a. I just read this the other day. I hope it's true. I hope I'm not speaking it without confirming my source. But yeah, so she can't vote because U.S. Virgin Islands is not a. It's a possession and it's not a state. And
Really?
so, just like I believe Eleanor Norton Holmes, because it's DC that she represents, I'm not sure what her voting status is.
Hmm.
But Stacey Plaskett can still play an important negative role in every kind of committee hearing that she sits in. But I think who's leading the party? Yeah, that's the question. Let's ask a Democrat. Crickets, test pattern, nothingness. It was for about 5 minutes. AOC and Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is they started that whole thing with Russia, Russia, Russia. Bernie Sanders spent his honeymoon in Moscow. Okay, there's nobody more of a
Really?
communist
I
love.
didn't know that.
Yeah, there's nobody more of a communist lover than Bernie Sanders. And so they thought, hey, let's pair him with AOC. That'll improve her reputation. I mean, come on. And now all of a sudden, here comes Ms. Crockett, and she's talking about Governor Hot Wheels and stuff. I mean, just continue to shoot themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know who the leader is going to be. Obviously, Newsom is doing some sneaky kind of weaselly stuff out in
Yeah,
California.
he's doing his own podcast, and I mean, is he not the governor any longer? Does he still not have the job that he's supposed to be doing as governor, but he's doing the podcast?
Well,
I'm
if I,
confused.
well, if his job was and if his job was destroying the economy, ruining the infrastructure, hurting all the residents of California until they decide to get a U-Haul and leave, then yes, his job is kind of finished. He's kind of on hold. He's done enough for right now. He'll probably bring it back and swing into action later on. Oh, I saw Bass, Karen Bass, the mayor of LA. She's gone to Sacramento to plead for $2 billion because, oh well, she started the fires and everything. Now she has to get some more money to line their pockets down there. I mean, the Democrat Party is a complete shambles. I think
Oh my goodness.
we should just ban it and say, okay, that's it. No, you guys don't get that. You don't
You
play with your toys anymore.
Yeah, you say we should ban it. I would go, me personally, I would go a step further, and I wish President Trump would come out and do an executive order and go ahead and list. I'm doing an executive order to go ahead and put down the Democrat Party as a domestic terrorist organization.
Absolutely.
I mean, I wish he would do that because who's keying up Teslas right now? Who's attacking Tesla dealerships? Who's actually calling violence against Ted Cruz, against people, judges, against I mean, who's done all of that? I mean that's like terrorist acts that we've been seeing, and it's coming from which party?
The Democrat communists. There are buddies who are ruining everything. I tell you, if you're looking forward to a nice spring and summer in this country after a long winter, you can forget about it. These people start in with their unrest and their race strife. They're gonna the Reverend Sharptons. I hesitate to even use the title Reverend for this guy.
Well,
They're all
Satan has his reverence too, just to be clear. I mean, it is
That's
what it
right.
is.
That's right. They're all gonna start a St. George Floyd type race war this summer and be
Oh.
destroying and burning things. It'll be like 2020 all over again. So everybody brace yourselves. We're gonna have to be strong. We're gonna have to be tough. But I just love coming on here and talking about really radical ideas with you, Will, because they're radical, but they're so common sense. Like another one I have is, and the criticism, the whining from the left can always be heard when I say these kinds of things. But the last time we executed some Democrat communists for treason was in 1953. We electrocuted Ethel and Julius Rosenberg in Sing Sing prison. Now, are you telling me that no communists have committed treason since 1953? I suggest we redouble our efforts, start taking a look at these people, and start slapping some cuffs on them.
Well, that's a really good point because now we have Cash Patel and Pam Bondi, and a lot of people were upset with Pam Bondi because of the documents that she, released that we've already seen them. But there hasn't been any discussion about when she's going to release any documents. I think she probably learned her lesson on that. And now they're actually yesterday morning, they've arrested an MS-13 member, one of the top MS-13 members. And the reaction from the press about it is alarming to me because they're saying now the FBI, when they arrest somebody, especially if it's a Trump supporter, none of the left will question the reason why that person got arrested. Just automatically, they must have done something wrong in order for the FBI to arrest them. But in this case, they arrest the MS-13 member, one of the top MS-13 members, and the press is even questioning it. Well, how do you know that this person is actually MS-13? You're going to deport him? Do they get due process? The left, they're more concerned about all of these illegals that are in the United States of America, the criminals, than they are the American people. These criminals are harming American people, but yet they're concerned about their well-being, talking about the criminals. Well, what happened? I mean, what happened? So, I mean, we want somebody, I mean, look, not only should these hardened criminals be put in cuffs, but then you have people that have actually committed crimes. And I'm just going to put one name out there, Adam Schiff. He's low-hanging fruit. And I don't know what the deal is. What do you think is taking them so long? So I want to get your opinion about them looking the other way when it comes to these hardened criminals, doing a crime, and then they get upset when they're getting deported. But at the same time, again, Adam Schiff, he's low-hanging fruit. Why are they not put him in handcuffs?
I don't know. It's so foolish what they're doing. They seem to think they're above the law. There's no due process, as you said. There's no rule of law. There's no equal protection under the Constitution. It's just they get to
For
do whatever they
Americans, for
want. They get to do,
Americans, right?
yeah,
For Americans, but for the
well,
illegals, they get all of those protections.
well, you're absolutely right about that. Illegals have no rights in this country. They have no due process. They have no protections under the Constitution because they came here illegally. They've already committed a crime. So Trump's been pretty clear on that and been moving pretty forward on that. It's just that the Democrats. It's one of the great tragedies of the 21st and 20th and 21st century. America was built on competition, and it would be healthier for us to have two parties. But we can't just allow one party to be immune to the laws of this country and do whatever the heck they want, go around destroying things, stealing elections, forcing people to have vaccinations. I mean, this is like Nazi Germany. This is ridiculous what's going on. And they constantly keep trying to attach President Trump to the Russians. Well, let's face it. Come on, everybody knows the Democrats have been in bed with the Russians for as long as memory serves us, and now they've jumped into bed with the Chinese communists. So I mean, it's like they're totally unreliable, totally treasonous people beneath contempt. So it's a great tragedy that they can't operate themselves responsibly. But now the shining light on the hill is that we have to exert justice onto them,
Yeah.
make sure that they can't continue to get away with this. And that's what President Trump's all about. He's doing a great job.
Yeah, he absolutely is. So one thing that my producer said that you were like really looking into is how the Democrats are wanting to forget certain things that have happened in the past. For
Yes.
example, why would and I think 9/11 is one of them. Why would they want to forget that 9/11 happened? Because I mean, they're never going to forget that, J6 took place. I mean, so why would they want to forget 9/11 happened?
Well, 9/11 is to a Democrat, communist slash pedophile, I don't know, whatever other negative connotation you want to add to what these people do, it puts them in a very bad position because anybody who loves America or is from New York in particular, but Americans in general felt a ripping, retching sadness from 9/11. And so they have to go around pretending like they agreed with that for about 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden they forget it and put it in their rearview mirror. So for me as a New Yorker, for Donald Trump as a New Yorker, we both take the two words "never forget" very seriously. And Donald Trump cares deeply about New York, even though it's deep blue. And I take a bone of contention with that because when I go back to New York, all I meet is Republicans. And so I think what's happened there is that they've been stealing elections for so long in New York that everybody thinks it's a blue state. But never forget applies to for my generation and for New Yorkers applies to 9/11. It applies to my dad's generation for Pearl Harbor. And what happens is the forces in this country that don't particularly like this country or hate this country, and there are a number of them, not as many as they like to act as, but they want to put that in the rearview mirror. They want people to forget. And we can never forget what the Biden administration did to this country and what Biden voters did to this country because they
Yeah.
put us in such a terrible position for 4 years. We had to fear world war. We had these new global conflicts break out. I wrote an article after interviewing President Trump called How President Trump Started Zero Wars. And he did. He started zero wars. He's going to end these two wars we've got going now. He's going to get Hamas out of Gaza, and he's going to straighten out that whole situation. It's going to take him a little while.
Yeah.
As soon as we get the hostages back, oh man, he's going to go to work on Hamas in Gaza. And with Putin and Zelensky, he's going to get that process taken care of, and we're going to come out smelling like a rose with the minerals, with the rare earth minerals. So I think the thing is we just can't forget what these people put us through, and
Yeah.
we're already in danger of forgetting. We're only 2 months in. If they had stolen that election, this country would have been over.
You
And
know,
somehow with Jesus's oversight, they didn't steal the election.
I say God heard our prayers. I mean, seriously, God heard our prayers, and we're actually getting able. We're in a position right now that I didn't think we would actually see again. But I'm so happy that we are here with President Trump in office. And a lot of people, you're right, people are forgetting a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, because Joe Biden's, for the most part, been out of sight, out of mind. The focus has been with everything that President Trump has been doing, rightfully so. And the news cycle, their main thing was is Elon Musk bad, Elon Musk bad, Elon Musk bad, and now they have this whole thing with the Signal app. It's a nothing burger. There was no war plans in there, and they were just having discussion. But and now they changed it to war discussion, or I forget exactly what they changed it to, but there was nothing in there. I mean, I read them. I'm like, okay, this is nothing that we don't hear them say when they do a press conference. There's nothing there, but they're grasping for straws because the Democrat Party is at the bottom of the barrel. They're scraping the bottom of the barrel. They don't have a leader. They don't have any direction. They don't have any purpose. I don't know that they've ever had any purpose other than to do what they can to disrupt, bring chaos, and take down America, and of course get Trump, because TDS is actually a real thing. It truly is a real thing, and we're seeing it by and large. By and large, we're seeing it. So,
well, you use the right words. Signal nothing burger is one I was going to use if you asked me about it. But I think it's a prefabricated scam by the left. This guy Jeffrey Goldberg from the Atlantic is a ferret-faced weasel.
yeah.
Do you like my mixture of species there? He's a ferret-faced weasel, and low T, just weak and constantly whining. A real pain in the neck. Nobody likes him. He never smiles. No joy within that guy ever. No joy within his life. He just, and it was one of the things that it makes me want to shy away from being called a journalist. I now really would prefer to be called a writer, because journalists are so disrespected.
Yeah.
Journalists are like, they're like at the bottom of the food chain. They're down with, they're down in the lower echelons of the occupations in the world.
Why do you think that happened? Why do you think that's the case? Because, journalists used to be respected people because, they would write stories and people would read them.
I think it happened right after George Washington said, "I won't be king. I'm gonna resign." They wanted him to stay, and they wanted to make him king. And then all of a sudden, you had people jockeying for positions and realizing that, these days you have. I kind of like Shakespeare's point about first thing we do is kill all the lawyers. Now, I come from a long line of attorneys and judges, so I feel pretty qualified to make that kind of statement. And I think once you get, if we could eliminate lawyers being involved in government and politics, that would be great, because think about it. All the lawyers in the past have really done a lot of damage, and they're going to leave.
So you think that's connected with journalism? Because
No,
journalists.
I just think that the way the journalists, they used to talk about journalistic integrity, and it doesn't exist anymore. Hannity's been talking about it since the late 1990s. Like, these people are craven, they're greedy, they'll go wherever the money is. They're always looking for a free lunch. It's really bad. I've been around these people a long time. I've gotten to know them, and
Yeah.
I think that really, when it comes to occupational involvement in politics, lawyers shouldn't be involved, because when you think about it, they could be, if they're good ones, they could go earn $1 million a year. Why would they want to work for
But then, yeah,
$174,500
but
in
you
Congress?
have Jasmine Crockett. She's a lawyer.
I didn't know that. I'm going to have to do a deep dive on her. I'm working on a new column called "The Media Meat Grinder," and what I'm doing is I'm going after these people and just going into their backgrounds. Because if you look at people like Karl Marx and Stalin and even Barack Obama, you see their childhood is filled with. They have
Oh yeah.
the worst childhoods and the worst parents, and so I got to take a look at Jasmine Crockett's background, because there's a reason that people turn out to be evil or mentally ill or just plain stupid.
Or
And every
Democrats.
Democrat is, well, yeah, there's they're one of those three things. There's no other
I
option.
think all of them. I think all of them are one and the same.
Oh, those are the most dangerous kinds of Democrat. Oh my goodness.
Well, Bill, I want to thank you so much for coming on with me, having this open discussion about all these different topics. Tell everyone how they can find out more information about what you're doing.
I can be found on all social media pretty much at Relentless Bill. That's my nickname since college and working at a major corporation. So at Relentless Bill on X, at Relentless Bill on Facebook and Signal and Gab and Truth. So you can find me there, and you can do a search for Relentless Bill Newsmax or just Relentless Bill, and you'll come up with my columns, some of my interviews with the president. But Will, it's really been just a thrill for me to be on with you again, and such a great lightning round that we did. Thank you, sir.
Yep. Awesome. Thank you so much. Take care.
All the best.
All right. God bless. Okay, so I want to share some of the footage from yesterday where Kash Patel and Pam Bondi was talking about them arresting these illegals, and thank God that they are on the top. And now, look, I know a lot of people have their reservations about Pam Bondi and Kash Patel, and just to side with those people. And look, before I say that, I want Pam Bondi and Kash Patel to be successful in everything that they say that they want to do. Okay. Again, I don't like the whole talking. I want them to go into action, and then we talk about what they are doing. Kind of like with Elon Musk. If Elon Musk went into Doge and said, yeah, we're going to look in this, we're looking at it, and if then 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, yep, we're seeing some really interesting stuff here. We're going to do a report soon. Just hold tight. We're going to bring some information. Yeah, we've seen some of this stuff. That didn't happen. I think we got spoiled with Doge, because with Doge, he just brought it out and showed the world what they were doing. And that got everybody talking. And that's, part of the reason why the Democrats are saying, well, we don't mind Elon Musk looking into waste and fraud. We just don't like the way that he's doing it. Right? He's not talking about that there might be some, he's showing it. And this is what I want. This is what I personally would like to see from Pam Bondi and Kash Patel. Don't tell us anything. Show us. And I think more people will be happy. Even the people that don't mind you just telling them, niceties in their ears, I think they'll be perfectly fine with you just showing them as well. Well, they've actually arrested an MS-13 member last night or yesterday. And I want to share this. I guess this is where they want to turn back talking about this. And they're going full steam. And then again, like what I was going to say a second ago as well, maybe they're just kind of coming out saying, look, we are doing something, everybody. Look at us. Look at us. But I don't know. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt.
First reaction is all of our law enforcement officers are safe. That was the number one thing. They're safe. They executed a clean, safe operation, and the bad guys in custody. And thanks to the FBI, we got one of the worst of MS-13 off the streets this morning.
We were able to be out here in force to show the American people, to be here in person, that this means a lot to her and the mission. Safety is our primary concern of these communities, and we effectuated that today.
You see this? Okay, so I want to go, just leave it split screen here, because I want to go right to the next one, because then they have a press conference. And this is the reason why I believe that some of those on the left, they have a problem with them arresting the MS-13 members. Why would you say, well, did you verify it? Because again, like I mentioned a minute earlier, that if it was a Republican, a conservative, MAGA, that they were arresting, none of the liberals, none of the media would be questioning, why was your reasoning for arresting them, other than, they want to get dirt, but they wouldn't be questioning the reasoning. Well, obviously they did something wrong.
We have been out since about 4:30 this morning. The great men and women of law enforcement have been working on this operation for days and days, and probably weeks. Early this morning, one of the top leaders of MS-13 was apprehended. He was the leader for the East Coast, one of the top 3 in the entire country, right here in Virginia, living half an hour outside of Washington, D.C. He is an illegal alien from El Salvador, and he will not be living in our country much longer. He's in custody this morning. One of the top leaders right here near our nation's capital. I just cannot thank Governor Youngkin enough for his leadership in this effort. This has been a joint effort with state and local agencies. FBI Director Patel, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much. I mean, again, now it almost kind of looks like a photo op. You know, I think.
Oh, it is a photo op.
Yeah, it is a photo op.
I mean, they're all there, standing there.
It is a photo op.
But you know what? Honestly, this is what we kind of wanted. We wanted them to come out and let us know what they're doing. We wanted transparency. And like you were saying the past couple of days, is you want to know what they're doing. Well, they're letting us know that they are working. They are doing something. They are trying to take
I think
dangerous people off of the streets.
It's getting back to them that they've been there how long? Maybe they need to get some, a Doge representative to come over there and tell them how to do it.
But you know what? For some reason, I don't know what it is, but when Bondi talks, I get turned off. I don't know what it is, but I don't think she's the one that should be. She needs like a press secretary.
You think so?
I just don't get warm fuzzies when she talks. I don't know.
I think
maybe it's not her thing, which I can understand that too.
I think a lot of it has to do because of what happened with the Epstein files.
Well, even before then, she talks the same way.
Yeah.
I think, seems like
a lot of
she's
people
not comfortable in front of the camera, which
I started to gain slight different opinion about her after the Epstein files. Because she kept saying, "Oh yeah, these are really damaging. You'll see, there's some information in here," and it was the same information that was released before, as if she didn't know that. I mean, her being in her position, she should have known that. And none of the Democrats had an issue with it. None of them complained about what she did. It was conservatives because she only fed us the same thing we've already known. And none of the Democrats had any issues with it. They were like happy that she did that because it's like, oh, no, nothing to see here. See, there's nothing to see here. And then they got this big dump of data files and we haven't heard anything. And she shouldn't say anything until they release something. And at this point, a lot of people are going to think that it's probably never going to get released because of all the people that are involved in it. But anyways, to get back to this MS-13, here's Kash Patel talking about the MS-13s and, talking about the FBI. Look, I'm all for it. Get them off the streets of America. And if the Democrats start complaining about what Pam Bondi and Kash Patel's doing, then we're on to something. Then they're doing a good job. Listen to this.
This is what happens when you let good cops be cops. And we're going to continue to let good cops be cops across this country. President Trump gave us the executive decision to go after and safeguard our communities. General Bondi is our warrior of justice leading that charge. Governor Youngkin, it's an honor to be a partner in this operation with you and U.S. Attorney Siebert. This is the mandate we have. Right now, we have an American dying every 7 minutes from a drug overdose. That is a national security crisis we have not seen ever before. We have a woman or child being raped every 6.5 minutes in this country. We have a homicide twice an hour. No part of that metric is a safe and secure America. But thanks to the brave leadership of this administration and the folks that you see here, we are returning our communities to safety. As you heard, we took down this morning a top leader of MS-13. That is not done easily. That is done with brilliant law enforcement.
Yes, it's not done easily. Well, I think I would agree. And now then they start taking on some questions. And I think most of the questions were directed towards Pam Bondi. But there's one that I'm going to get to here in just a minute. And I want y'all to make sure you pay attention to the way the press is asking the question. Because they're more concerned. And the only reason why they're coming out acting like they're concerned, they're not concerned for the American people, of course. They're concerned about this MS-13 member. And the reason why they're saying what they're saying is because President Trump deported what I think was around 200 people that were hardcore criminals. And then, of course, they ran to a liberal judge, and all of the liberals in the mainstream media, they're all screaming right now saying that President Trump purposely defied a court order. Now, picture this. President Trump, his team, they gathered all of these hardcore criminals off the streets of America, took them to a facility in Texas, put them on airplanes in Texas, flew them out of the country. And of course, to my understanding, the report has been that the ACLU got wind of it. The ACLU went to this New York judge, and they got the New York judge to orally say that you need to bring them back.
And I just want to say this.
And wait a minute, let me finish. orally say you got to bring them back. Now, mind you, President Trump, they've already took these hardcore criminals, and of course, they knew that they were criminals. And just because you were a gang member or let's say you're a gang member and you don't have a criminal record, doesn't mean that you're not a gang member. They just haven't caught you to give you a criminal record yet. So, with that said, they were already outside the country. And they told the judge, said, well, they're already outside the country. And the judge says, I don't care. You need to make the planes turn around and come back. Well, they were already in the Venezuela airspace, to my understanding. And the Venezuela president said, nope. Go ahead and bring them in here. Go ahead and bring them in. And say, basically, now President Trump gave the order. We're not going to get involved. Bring them here. That made them even angrier. And now they're saying that President Trump purposely, as if the judge came and said that President Trump can't deport them. And then he went out and found these hardcore criminals, put them on the airplanes and sent them out. They were already gone. And the judge, ACLU, they got wind of it. And I'm curious who went and told the ACLU? Who told the ACLU that they were getting rid of these hardcore criminals? And they're not even caring about the American people. They're caring about these hardcore criminals, which when I get to this clip, I'm going to share with you about how the reporter is asking, like, how do you know that this was a gang member? How do you know? How do you know he's MS-13? How do you know? Like, we need to make sure that they're here. What were you going to say, Shannon?
Well, and to your point right there, and just a few days ago, Trump invoked presidential privilege, means he doesn't have to tell that judge any information about those people that he exported because he says it's a matter of national security.
It is.
So that further upset them because, you know, they're trying to portray some of these people as, oh, you've heard the story. He was a barber and his wife's about to have a baby. And just to your point, Will, you don't have to actually be convicted of a crime to be a criminal. A criminal convicts hundreds of crimes before they could get caught with one.
It just means they were not caught.
But they proved somehow, some way, they have proof that this guy is part of the gang. So that's the most important thing.
Yeah. So here's some of the press conference where they were getting asked questions.
How long was this individual living in the United States illegally and operating as a leader of MS-13? And then two, MS-13 has been a huge problem in Virginia for several years now. How many members of that gang do you believe are currently operating in the state?
The bottom line is for far too long. And because of operational security, we won't get into too many of the details about this individual. But if you're here for a minute, a day, a month, or a year, you've been here far too long. And General Bondi has made it a priority at this FBI that we manhunt every single person committing an act of violent crime.
And it should speak volumes that the leader for the entire East Coast was living right here in Virginia, right among us. Question? Oh, did you want to add something? Governor wants to add something.
Sorry. I just want to reiterate that, first of all, President Trump's executive order declaring the drug gangs and cartels international terrorists is critical underpinning to the work today. Second of all, the collaboration now that's available because we have a 287G memorandum in place is critical. And it allows us then to bring the intelligence together to go pursue and arrest someone like this. And I just want to reiterate again, this is new. And the capabilities that are being displayed right now are capabilities that are now available, not just to Virginia, but to the rest of the country because of the administration's forward-leaning vision on how to use state and federal resources in collaboration in a way that has not been done. I have to say, Terry Cole has been leading our efforts in the Commonwealth brilliantly, but until we were able to bring in the federal resources in this way, bringing down somebody like this would not really have been possible.
You know what? And he said this is new, right? And this is the reason why the Democrats are upset, is because they're saying President Trump is going to randomly pick up people off the streets of America and just send them to some other country. Random people, American citizens even. This is what the Democrats are saying. Now, here's the clip that I was telling you about. And if you haven't already, no matter how you're watching this, could you please hit the thumbs up for me? Please hit the thumbs up, because it actually helps with the algorithms by you hitting the thumbs up for me. I would greatly appreciate it. Now, listen to this clip here. This is the one that gave me, I know this is exactly where they're going, and just give it some time. Now, I don't have any issues on being wrong, but I mean, look, based on the way the Democrats are, this is what they do. Listen to this next clip that I have for you, where the Democrats are actually talking about, you can hear the reporter. You can hear the reporter in this next clip where he is actually talking to her, asking her, well, how do you know that, what is his crime? I mean, has he committed a crime? Actually, if they came into the country illegally, they've already committed a crime. I mean, it's on the book as a crime. It really is. But the left, they don't see it that way because they want these people here. Just listen to it. Listen carefully. I might play it twice, or not. Just listen.
Off topic. Can someone
Of course you have to go off topic.
Question number one, can someone describe what this suspect's role was in MS-13 in terms of what kind of activity was he overseeing?
You see right there, right? And the reason why they want to ask that question, the way I'm seeing this is that, well, how do you know that this is an actual MS-13 member? And they're fighting for these hardcore criminals that President Trump sent out. They don't want them to send any more out. They want them here. They like the criminal element here in America.
All we're saying now, for certain reasons, we're not identifying him by name. He was one of the top members, top 3 in the entire country, head of the East Coast, one of the 3 leaders, and I will say very violent crimes. Anything you can associate with MS-13, he was the leader over it. All of the violent crimes. So he's very dangerous. He should not have been in this country. He's from El Salvador, and he was recruited at a very early age, and it rose to the leadership. And you have to be bad, you have to be tough to get there. But he is no longer tough because he is behind bars.
Off-topic question. In terms of the signals chat controversy that's going on,
okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and play this one too, because of course, the signal chat is a nothing burger. I'm pretty sure everyone has seen those chat messages now. There's nothing in there. I'm like, oh my goodness, they actually relate this information and that information. Now, is this a stain? Of course it is. Should it have happened? No, it should have never happened. And one thing that no one has brought up, and I'm sitting there thinking about this all day yesterday, is that there was an enemy among the MISC. Did I say that right? There was an enemy among the MISC. In that chat group with Pete Hegseth and the other people in there, Tulsi Gabbard, they had an enemy to the American people join the chat. That's the way I see it. Because the dude that joined the chat, he hates Trump. He's a total liar. So he was an enemy of the U.S. military and an enemy of the American people. But no one wants to say it that way. But the left, they go, oh my goodness, he's an American hero. Yeah. Democrats, they're not our fellow Americans either. But listen, he's going to bring up about the signal chat.
In terms of the signals chat controversy that's going on, is DOJ involved at this point? If so, why? If not, why not?
Well, first, it was sensitive information, not classified, and inadvertently released. And what we should be talking about is it was a very successful mission. Our world is now safer because of that mission. We're not going to comment any further on that. If you want to talk about classified information, talk about what was at Hillary Clinton's home that she was trying to bleach a bit. Talk about the classified documents in Joe Biden's garage that Hunter Biden had access to. This was not classified information. And we are very pleased with the results of that operation and that the entire world is safer because of it. Thank you all.
You know what? And that's the interesting thing is about all of this is that the Democrats, they don't want to talk about how successful the mission was, right? And they don't even want to talk about how unsuccessful Afghanistan was. And then they turn around and say, oh, Afghanistan went off without a hitch. Afghanistan was perfect. That's what the Democrats say. They say that all day long. It was perfect. There was nothing wrong with that. With Afghanistan, the operation was a total failure. We had 13 Americans lose their lives because of what Joe Biden and the Democrats did. 13 people. And then Joe Biden didn't even want to say their names. Remember, Joe Biden was on the tarmac. He was looking at his watch like, I got somewhere else to be. You remember? But in this case, there's no highly classified information, no top secret information like Hillary Clinton. And she purposely set up the server to hide information and then deleted 30,000 emails. And it was probably more than that, if you really think about it. It was probably more than 30,000, but we'll never know because they wiped the server clean. And they don't want us, and they wiped the server clean. And then they're trying to act like, well, that was not a big deal. That's not a big deal. Well, I want to play one from this liar, Adam Schiff. And again, what I said earlier, Adam Schiff is low-hanging fruit. All of the lies that he did, he actually pushed the whole collusion, delusion, all of that. Listen to what Adam Schiff says here during the committee. And of course, his whole objective, just like all the Democrats right now, signal. Like, oh my goodness, this is something that we can get them on. They're making a molehill to be a mountain. And it's not even a mountain. It's just a little molehill.
Say a top missile operative and the location of the girlfriend's building, those kind of specific details discussed on a commercial app could jeopardize that operation if it became public.
Yeah.
Isn't that true?
It depends on the circumstances. And
well, I just gave you the
and that's why I'm not going to answer a hypothetical question.
Well, I'm not. It's not hypothetical. I wish to hell it were hypothetical.
Now, what he's talking about, it is hypothetical. To give you a little more context here, Adam Schiff was saying that they actually put locations in there, coordinates in there, the person in there, the exact location of the person. Again, he's nothing but a liar. He's lying 100%. For everyone who's read the text, you know that there was no locations in there, no coordinates in there. None of that information was in there. Adam Schiff knows this, but a lot of people on the left, they're not going to, you know what? They actually went and read it, but they were like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, there's nothing in here. But even though there's nothing in there, a lot of these leftists, especially on X, they go, oh my goodness, this is so damaging. There's nothing in here, but it's so damaging.
This just happened. This was shared with a journalist on a commercial app. You need more information than that? Well, how about discussing denigrating our European allies on a commercial app? Could that have diplomatic fallout?
I don't know the circumstances.
Really? So the vice president's conversations on this app, others joining in and disparaging Europe, this is completely new information to you. You're unaware. You can't comment on whether that could interfere with our relationship with our closest allies?
No, I heard of the incident. I just, at this point, hadn't had time to look at it closely. I'm a lawyer, sir. And before I make decisions and form opinions, I need to look at the facts carefully.
Yeah.
Oh, that's something Adam Schiff could learn from. But see, Adam Schiff, just like he did the parody, and see, he's doing the same thing now. Remember, he did the parody talking about the transcript with President Trump with Zelensky over in Ukraine. I was doing a parody. He's still doing a parody. He's doing a parody about what he believes that was in the text messages. Like he still hadn't even read it. Like we haven't read it. He's blatantly lying. Straight up lying. Well, before we go, let me share this one with you. Have you seen this one, Shannon? Yeah. Oh, this is so explosive. This is so good.
Yeah, you know, I like how she brings on the Secretary of Veterans and tries to talk about a chat.
The Signal app.
And he's like, I'm here to talk about veterans.
Yeah,
the Signal app. I guarantee that's the premise that they brought him on, saying we're going to talk about veterans.
Because they're trying to make a molehill out of to be a mountain. Yep. That's all that they're doing. It has to be
on the 24-hour, 7-day-a-week.
Yep. Keep drilling it. Keep drilling it. Oh my goodness, the biggest national security leak ever.
We have nothing else. We have no platform. We have nothing we can say we're going to improve on. So we're just going to keep pounding this in.
Yeah, exactly. Listen.
Do you believe that a mistake was made here, though, to have this conversation, to add a reporter, and to have it on an unsupported, classified group setting?
Caitlin, as I've just told you, I've just answered the question. I wasn't a part of it. And, I'm not going to speculate more than what the president's already talked about and those who've been involved have talked about. But we'd love to talk about the veterans. Yeah,
and she should. Okay. We're going to talk about the veterans. But being the Democrat that she is, she can't help it because someone's in the ear. Nope. Keep talking about the Signal app. Keep talking. Probably no one in the ear. They don't have to because she goes right along with it.
Yeah, and I do have questions about the veterans, but given what we saw with the group chat and how this was used, you are a member of the cabinet. You obviously know these other members, several of them who were in there. Is this typical for the cabinet to have conversations over Signal? Is this something that you use?
Well, Caitlin, Senator, you undoubtedly do not want to talk about the VA. I have a question as VA Secretary. As cabinet, I want to ask you, because I've been curious about this, because my job is to take care of veterans, and I would like to know why CNN is hostile to veterans, especially one in Florida, where you just had a $5 million defamation suit taking offense at a veteran who was trying to help people. In fact, one of your employees actually said, we're going to nail him. I have a question for you, Caitlin. Is that employee still employed? Are you really concerned about veterans? So if we don't want to talk about veterans now, you want to talk about everything else, I'd like to hear from CNN as the veteran cabinet secretary, why CNN seems to have a problem with veterans.
You think she heard anything he just said?
Yeah, they're telling her in her ear, switch it back to Signal. Switch it back to Signal.
Yeah, do you think she heard anything he just said? I mean, my goodness, I didn't even know that a CNN employee was threatening veterans. But then they come out and say, oh my goodness, President Trump is against veterans. Really?
Well, Mr. Secretary, respectfully, my question was about whether or not you as a member of the cabinet use this. And respectfully, I'm conducting the investigation. And I do have a lot of questions for you on Veterans Affairs, but I don't think it would be unwarranted to ask
what you want to do is talk about the subject I've already answered. And if you want to continue this like this, that's fine. But there are VA employees who are working very hard. There are veterans who get their care from the VA and they get their benefits from the VA. And it does me no good to speculate on something that I've already asked and answered. So I've asked and answered your question. Why don't you answer mine? Are you still, is this person still employed who said they were going to nail one of my veterans?
Wow.
Who you had to do a $5 million award from a jury because of defamation, and then you settled the case. Answer my question.
Wow.
Respectfully, sir, I'm asking the questions here, and I have no involvement in what you're referencing there. But if you don't want to answer the question about whether or not...
I mean, it's like this all the time with them. It's like this all the time, and they don't want to actually talk about, actual substance. They want to talk about the agenda to get Trump. And that's all this is about. Get Trump, destroy his cabinet, remove everyone in there, and replace them with radical leftists.
How many more ways, how many more times are you going to talk about the same thing? There's nothing been revealed that's new now. It's really a dead story, to be honest.
It really is.
But they're going to keep playing it because they think
they got something.
They got something.
They
right?
think they want to get the perception that they have something.
I think that if you poll the American people at this point on this story, they'll say, "Okay, move on."
I know. Well, if they poll you, most definitely. And I hate to say this, when the liberal media get their hands on something, that actually becomes the news cycle. That becomes the talk. I don't know why it's like that. Unless President Trump puts something out there, then of course, they'll talk about President Trump. President Trump can control the news cycle. But when they get stuck on something, they get stuck on it. But you know what? We need more people like him. See, the Republican Party, because of President Trump, making it the MAGA Republican Party, finally have a backbone. Listen to Marjorie Taylor Greene as she's taking questions. And then I think it's the lady from the UK, if I'm not mistaken, wanting to ask Marjorie Taylor Greene a question. And Marjorie Taylor Greene hits back. Watch this. This is so good. If we can split screen it, it'd be great. Watch this.
Yep. Anybody else?
Should the defense secretary?
What country are you? Wait, what country are you
from? The UK.
Okay, we don't give a crap about your opinion and your reporting. Why don't you go back to your country where you have a major migrant problem? Okay, and no. You should care about your own borders.
Do you care about American lives?
No. Let me tell you something. Do you care about people from your country? What about all the women that are raped by migrants?
Do you care
about by migrants? No. Do you care? Okay, you're done.
Do you care about American lives being put at risk?
You know what? I don't care.
I don't. Service members fighting for your country.
I don't care about your fake news. Do you have a relevant question?
She said, I don't care about your fake news. And my question is why are they allowing her to get that close to her anyways, and everybody else is at a distance?
Thing.
You know, I mean, she's really close. She's being pretty hostile towards Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yeah, she really is.
And she's not even from this country.
Not even from this country, which proves my point, what I've been saying, that these Democrats, or in this case, liberalism, is a worldwide thing. She's more concerned about Republicans in the United States of America putting an end to all the corruption and the crime, and she's not even concerned about the corruption and the crime in her own country. You can't make it up. Can't make it up. Okay, everybody, that's it for me. Hey, tomorrow's Friday. I'm going to open up the phone lines. Tomorrow so you can give me a call. Tell me what you think. Don't forget, go to my website, uniteamericafirst.com. Sign up for the free newsletter. Newsletter, everyone. Don't play that one. Sign up for the free newsletter, everyone. God bless you.